Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, detainees at Ashley Youth Detention Centre have been forced again into lockdown, exacerbating the compounding issues at the facility. Staff shortages are to blame, with claims some youth workers have been assaulted due to being understaffed.
Plunged into further lockdowns, Ashley Youth Detention Centre plagued by staffing issues.
We had a situation on Friday afternoon where the centre was unable to be staffed, even with minimal staffing numbers. So ultimately our members advised Ashley management that they would not engage in unsafe work. 17
detainees locked down from Friday evening into Saturday morning.
On Saturday during the day, those restrictions were eased, albeit that staffing numbers were still very low. That led to a serious assault where one of our members was transported to hospital.
The facility running on half the minimum required staffing level, with only 3 youth workers and an operations manager.
Young people incarcerated at Ashley Youth Detention Centre are on a series of rolling lockdowns and not being let out of their rooms for any more than an hour a day.
In our view, it's a breach of the Youth Justices Act. Those young people are being isolated.
But the government claims it is working to recruit new staff and resolve the issue.
We have the right pipeline. We have a continuing program of recruitment of staff. From time to time, we do have people who have to take some time out because of this is tough work, and we respect that.
But some say it's not enough.
What is he doing as minister to make sure that those children aren't being locked up for 23 out of 24 hours in a day? It is akin to torture for those children, and it's totally unacceptable.
Prompting more calls for its closure.
It needs to be fast-tracked in our view to make sure we've got more appropriate facilities to help those young people be rehabilitated.
McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's economy is once again the nation's top performer in the latest State of the States report. Our retail spending leading the way, although some are taking the news with a grain of salt.
A business brewing up some positive signs. Booming in Hobart has been forced to grind through some challenging times. The mood, however, is changing.
It's picking up for sure because the border is open for the tourists and then season getting warmer and school holiday as well. An international student coming in.
Retail spending helping Tasmania return to the top of Australia's economic mountain. After slipping to third in the last CommSec State of the States report, the crown is ours once again. A retail spend among the best in the nation, while investment in equipment and housing remains strong.
We saw its economic growth and state final demand 7% larger than pre-pandemic levels.
People have got jobs, we've got infrastructure projects coming out of our ears at the moment, and the shops have got people in them.
It's the 10th time in 11 surveys Tasmania has been number 1. The government today welcoming the news.
Tasmanians are confident about where the state's going. They see activity all around them. They're not hiding their money under the mattress.
However, there's plenty of room for improvement. Employment figures remain lower than everywhere bar the 2 territories, while population growth also remains near stagnant.
I hear of lots of stories where people are prepared to come to Tasmania to live and work. They can't find anywhere to live.
What we know from speaking to Tasmanians that many of them are struggling with the cost of living.
Labor questioning whether the report tells the full story.
Every time this sort of economic data comes out, I think a lot of people wonder how that could be the case when day to day their life isn't getting better.
A debate many will have over a coffee. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, there has been a dramatic arrest of a man at Launceston Airport allegedly involved in a fatal stabbing in Georgetown. He's one of 3 men facing court later tonight. All are accused of playing a part in the death of a 34-year-old from Mount Direction.
Passengers waiting to board their flight shocked as a dramatic arrest unfolds. A bustling Launceston Airport witnessing a 3rd man allegedly involved in a fatal stabbing at Georgetown on Saturday night, dragged away by police officers in plain clothes.
And then grabbed him and threw his hood over his head and marched him back up the stairs, really. Yeah, and everyone was kind of not really sure if it was real.
Claudia MacArthur was one of those waiting to board a flight.
A group of 10 men kind of marched down the stairs, calling out, "Police, police, don't move," and kind of jumped on a guy in the corner. And then a taser was kind of activated.
Police confirming a taser was used to subdue the accused.
I just thought it was fake to start with.
3 men have now been charged after a 34-year-old man from Mount Direction was found with multiple stab wounds at the Lambert Street address. Police tried to render first aid, but the victim died at the scene. Police allege they were all known to each other. The accused, all aged in their 30s, will face an out-of-hours court session tonight. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
In State Parliament, the Greens will move to strengthen the Liberals' bill to make the Environment Protection Authority independent during this week's sitting.
We've seen devastating impacts on the marine environment from a badly managed salmon industry, and this is something that has to change.
Also on the party's agenda, plans to move forward with its bill banning single-use plastics in Tasmania. Staff and students from Bowen Road Primary will be returning to school on Wednesday, a day earlier than anticipated after a fire on Saturday. Extensive safety assessments have been completed, with 4 classrooms needing to be demolished. It's alleged a 14-year-old Moona teen set fire to the premises. The library was also damaged in the attack, with its repairs now a top priority. Repairs are set to begin on sections of Powatina Road savaged by a massive landslide caused by this month's flooding. New Vision shows the extent of the damage, which is expected to take more than a month to fix.
A cleared scene lays bare the extent of the destruction. Several major landslips carving up the road joining Powatina Village and Arthurs Lake. Some ruined sections up to 200 metres long. The carnage not limited to the tarmac, with Tas Networks scrambling to undo the damage.
A major landslip washed away the footings of one of our towers, and the adjacent tower, the top half of it crumpled.
A final fix for one of the state's main power transmitters 6 months away.
It is still a tricky situation, but we're working through it, and we have a specialist team in place.
The mudslide also affecting Powatina Village's water supply. Workers restoring access, but not without issue.
The water's still brown, and we've bought some bottled water to help supply the village.
State Growth says the road repair operation is expected to take about a month, with crews to begin work this week if weather permits.
There has been, in this last lot of rain, there's been more landslip. So I think, they're just worried about the safety of it all and the actual road itself.
It's not just residents and commuters affected by this road closure. Next month's tour of Tasmania may also be affected. It's been using this route for more than a decade. It's believed the iconic event's organisers are looking at adjustments to the route, but are yet to make any decisions. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
The state opposition says the proposed Macquarie Point Stadium plan should be put to the people. They're calling for a referendum to be held to let voters have their say. Only 3 have been held in Tasmania's history, the last being on the controversial Franklin Dam proposal in the early 1980s.
The community have often been asked their opinions about projects of size like this, but not in this instance by this government, and we think that they should have their say.
Labor have shown that they're probably even more anti-everything than the Greens at the moment. If they can't make up their own mind about the stadium policy, that's up to them. As a government, we're a big believer in supporting our economy to grow.
Meanwhile, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers says any request for funding will be judged on its merits. Child health and parenting services on the northwest coast have come under fire, with claims families are struggling to access the support they need. Labor says there are currently 10 vacancies in the region and parents are unable to book appointments.
When I was 38 weeks pregnant, I inquired to have my 2-year-old's check, and they simply told me that they just didn't have the appointment space, and that unless we had an issue with Albie, our eldest, that he wouldn't be seen, he wasn't a priority.
If we can't get these fundamental basics right for our families, for our children, then this government just isn't getting its priorities right.
The government says it is trying to recruit new staff and is prioritising the service for children aged 12 months and under. Parents of older children can call the Child Health and Parenting Service for advice. Australia's only statewide adult literacy program is celebrating 10 years. Tasmania's 2610, giving people who missed out on significant learning in school a second chance.
Viv Blackwell was kicked to the curb in school for his troublemaking tendencies.
Because I wasn't engaging with the with all the other kids, I was put out in the yard, painting seats and washing windows. I was just sort of got left behind.
Now he's catching up, attending 2610's adult education classes.
I'm doing really well with my reading. Spelling's still a bit slow, but I'm sort of getting there. Yeah, I can feel improvements, and it just sort of blows me mind when I can spell a word.
Tutors working one-on-one with students to identify their gaps in knowledge, with group sessions also available.
Changing an adult's literacy levels doesn't happen overnight. It requires, ongoing engagement and a really strong commitment.
Around 5,000 people have interacted with 2610 over the past decade, but it's not enough, with 48% of the state's population still lacking sufficient literacy and numeracy skills.
If we can help catch them up so that they can continue to work and participate in the economy, that's a bonus.
We are going to take steps to change the situation for adults in Tasmania in a way that no one has tried to do elsewhere in the world.
The government committing another 10 years to 2610 as it looks to turn its low literacy and numeracy levels around. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Repairs to the stricken Cam River Bridge are set to be completed this weekend, weather permitting. Flood runoff damaging underlying piers, forcing the span down to one lane last week. More ambulances have been stationed west of the bridge, with extra bus services operating to connect Burnie with the rest of the northwest. State Growth is urging drivers to avoid the bridge during peak periods, with delays of a minimum of 45 minutes expected. A farm boy from Cressy to second in command at Police HQ. Jonathan Higgins has risen to become Tasmania's new Deputy Commissioner. The new appointee launches into the role today, eager to bolster the size and quality of the force.
With his new insignia in hand, Deputy Commissioner Jonathan Higgins begins day one contemplating a career he nearly shunned.
I didn't always want to be a police officer. In fact, I did university when I finished school and did a Bachelor of Science.
But the magic potion has been while dressed in blue. The Deputy Commissioner names loyalty, honesty and sincerity his main values and what he wants to see throughout the ranks.
We have some incredible people that work for us that serve the community particularly well, and they're the people who will do the best they possibly can.
Recruitment a top priority.
Both increasing and keeping our staff actively engaged so we are and continue to be an employer of choice.
He comes to the role decorated with the Australian Police Medal, a Queen's Birthday honour and 23 years of experience, the past 12 of those occasionally on TV.
No injuries at all with the pilot or the two passengers. The 27-year-old man from the mainland was injured.
Now the right-hand man of the state's first female commissioner, Donna Adams.
He has a range of diverse backgrounds and that allows him to provide diverse perspectives on issues and problems that we're looking to solve.
A partnership about to walk the beat to the beat of their own drum. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News. Well, meanwhile, Bangladesh has started the World Cup Super 12s with a win over the Netherlands at Blunston Arena this afternoon. Bangladesh's openers raced to 43 in just 5 overs, but then collapsed to 4 for 63 as the Netherlands roared back into the game. Their fielding was on point as the Tigers eventually reached 8 for 144 from their 20 overs. The Netherlands chase getting off to a horror start, Bangladesh claiming double Dutch in the first 2 balls of the innings.
And again, another one, a little edge through to the keeper this time. Tuscan, 2 from 2.
They never recovered from that point, eventually losing by 9 runs. Tonight's match at Blunston Arena is between South Africa and Zimbabwe. That game starts soon at 7 p.m.
Good evening, everyone. 17 degrees in Burnie today, Launceston and Devonport 16 and 13 in Hobart. Across the states, drawn the top of 21 degrees, Smithton 18, 16 in Low Head, King Island 15 and 14 in Friendly Beaches, Flinders Island and Ooze. A moist onshore flow can be seen pushing low-level cloud over the east and southeast of the state today, while cloud increased over the rest of Tasmania during the afternoon. Across Australia, large areas of cloud cover the southeast of the country and the southwest of Western Australia, while convective cloud is over New South Wales and Queensland. Tomorrow, a complex low pressure system is persisting over southeastern Australia, while a low centre approaching northeast Tasmania later in the day. East to southeasterly winds tomorrow 15 to 25 knots, reaching up to 30 knots about the north. And there is a strong wind warning in place from Sandy Cape to Wineglass Bay and from Southeast Cape to Low Rocky Point. Moderate flood warnings for the Macquarie and South Esk rivers, minor flood warnings for the Meander and North Esk, and a flood watch for the north, northeast, Derwent and southeast catchments. Showers an 18 in Hobart and Adventure Bay tomorrow, 17 in Tarraleah. Launceston, a shower or 2 and 21, Devonport and Bridport, both 19. 17 degrees in Burnie tomorrow, cloudy and 22 in Strawn, Marrawar 18. And showers continuing in the east with St Helens reaching 17, Swansea 16 and a top of 18 in Whitemark. And the UV tomorrow is high across the state with sunrise expected at 6:07 a.m. Looking on to Wednesday, rain about the east and southeast with possible heavy falls. Showers statewide on Thursday with variable winds, and on Friday, showers increasing about the west during the evening. 22 in Perth and Melbourne tomorrow, showers in Adelaide and Sydney, Canberra, rain and 22, storms in Brisbane and 37 in Alice Springs. And currently Hobart cloudy and 11 degrees, and Devonport and Launceston both cloudy and 13, and that's weather tonight, Kim.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. We'll see you tomorrow. That is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for your company this evening. It's good night.